The Chevrolet Colorado was quite an interesting proposition since it was revealed 2 years ago. It was cheap, practical, and stylish. However, these alluring qualities were only half of the Colorado's true character, with the other, much darker side of it being reserved for buyers to discover only after they purchased it. And this darker side turned out to be so bad that many Colorado owners decided to rid themselves of it like it was a hot potato. So if you're up for buying a Chevrolet Colorado, don't. At least not before we tackle together the 6 reasons why drivers are selling their Chevrolet Colorado after only 5,000 miles. Number 6. Over-reliance on unreliable electronics. One of the worst parts about modern vehicles is their over-reliance on all kinds of unnecessary electronics. Electronic parking brake, button-controlled gearbox, touch controls, digital gauge cluster. You name it, and there's a much more cost-effective way of creating something that is extremely reliant on electronics. However, this is the case for most modern vehicles, and some companies like, say, Toyota, manage to make their electronic peripherals as reliable as the rest of the vehicle. But not GM though. Oh no, GM has managed to completely ruin its reputation when it comes down to its reliability. Especially when talking about electronics. Everything you can imagine, the Chevrolet Colorado has a problem with it. Electrical windows, headlights, parking brake, and many others. However, these issues are all very inconsistent, and they might or might not occur with your Colorado. However, something that's almost sure to happen is electrical drainage, which occurs because the vehicle, even when fully turned off and the key is far away from the car, does not shut down its electronics, which slowly but surely drains away the battery. To fix this, you'll need to take the vehicle to the shop and leave it there for it to be serviced, which is very disappointing as it's an easy fix and shouldn't have occurred on a vehicle that's supposed to be a do-it-all kind of truck. A Ferrari with this issue is acceptable, as it is, well, a Ferrari. However, a pickup truck must be ready to rumble with a twist of the key, or in this case, a push of a button, which isn't the case here unfortunately. Additionally, a common problem that Colorado owners have mentioned has to do with the braking system, which has been noted to completely disconnect and stop working because of faulty electrics. One owner even mentioned that he traded in a Colorado after 2 months because he almost crashed because of the braking issue, only for his next one to experience the same problem, and in addition to that, many other electrical gremlins. And in a vehicle that is so reliant on electrics that even turning on the high beams requires a touchscreen, hearing that its electrical system works improperly certainly sounds disheartening. Number 5. Incredibly harsh ride. One of the more fundamental problems of the Chevy Colorado is, well, its suspension. It is so unnecessarily stiff and harsh that driving it anywhere but a straight road will be a drag, especially when driving around harsher city roads or unpaved rural ones. Now, this problem is a problem of design, and by design, we literally mean aesthetics. You see, Chevy decided to make the Chevy Colorado so extremely jacked up and with such drastically larger ground clearance than its competition for really no apparent reason at all. As a result of this frankly idiotic decision, GM had to make the suspension way stiffer than its competition, as a softer setup, especially with a vehicle that's as big and as heavy as this one, would result in immense body roll and a completely unsafe drive at higher speeds. Now sure, it makes sense for an off-road trim to have such a tall ride. However, some models, such as the LT, don't even have a low-range gearbox, which completely defeats the purpose of having a jacked up truck. All of this could have been avoided if GM had tried less to make a Warthog from Halo and more to make a conventional and good all-rounder pickup truck. Number 4. Sound isolation is mediocre at best. Another big issue that buyers, owners, and former owners have mentioned is the fact that the noise isolation and insulation aren't great. In fact, it's amongst the worst in its class. This is a result of various combined reasons. First of all, the amount of wind noise is very high, courtesy of the relatively blocky and not so aerodynamic shape, as well as the large silhouette that's made worse by the fact that the truck is so tall. In addition to that, the mirrors are also very big and very badly designed, and they too cut through wind quite poorly. However, this is an issue with most trucks, and we can't really fault GM for this. It's a big vehicle, of course, so it won't be aerodynamic. However, we can fault them for making a vehicle that is so poorly insulated. The carpeting of the Colorado is extremely thin, which translates to quite a bit of noise entering the car from under it. meaning that you'll be hearing squeaks, rattles, and the suspension clunking much more frequently than you're probably used to. Additionally, the door trims and the windows are very thin, which once again works against the already piss-poor sound insulation. But that isn't the only problem on the inside of the Colorado. Number 3. Interior quality is terrible. Say what you will about the Chevy Colorado, it and the GMC Canyon undoubtedly have the best looking interior of all the midsize pickup trucks. This makes it all the worse to realize that this beauty isn't even skin deep, as the quality of these interiors, less so the Canyon and more so the Colorado, is terrible. And by terrible, we really mean it. It's the worst in the entire segment. The Chevy Colorado's interior, no matter the trim level, is almost completely made out of hard, scratchy plastics. Sure, higher trim levels have a better interior, however, even that's just terrible when compared to the Ford Ranger, the Nissan Frontier, and especially the Toyota Tacoma. And it's not just the fact that most plastics are low quality and hard. This can sometimes be a good thing, as hard plastics are easier to maintain and harder to break, especially when they're made to truck standards. However, these aren't, and most of the trim and interior pieces are very flimsy. This includes stuff such as door handles on lower trims, lower door trims, stalks behind steering wheel, buttons, literally everything. Chevy should have given more thought to making the interior at least more rugged and at best more luxurious. Number 2. Quality control is extremely bad. Unfortunately, the Chevy Colorado's reliability and quality issues do not end with the electrical stuff or the interior. These issues are present in every segment of the vehicle through and through. There have been countless mentions of quality issues concerning the underbody, problems with some parts rusting prematurely, issues with panel gaps, misaligned and miscolored body panels, but most of all, mechanical issues. Drivers have, on countless occasions, mentioned that their Colorado has all kinds of problems with the suspension, but the biggest problem being the braking system. Apart from electrics failures concerning the brakes, there are also mechanical issues that cannot be avoided. Faulty brakes, problems with the ABS sensor, problems with inconsistent wear of brakes, and so on and so forth. Finally, almost all owners have mentioned quite a bit of mechanical issues that they had to sort out, such as knocking from the engine bay, issues with the steering rack, and many others. One owner had to send his truck back to the dealer 8 times for his first 5,000 miles because it constantly presented new issues every time he sat behind the wheel. Number 1. Horrible dealers and services. The thing is, all of these issues are expected from new vehicles these days. Heck, even the Toyota Tacoma, which has always been the symbol of reliability, has been met with quite a bit of quality issues. However, where Toyota excels is the fact that the company works hard at fixing them and providing the best possible experience to buyers. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for GM and its dealer chain. They simply do not care about these issues. What they care about is cold profit and nothing else. Dealers are very ignorant of issues, oftentimes writing them off as normal and telling the owner that there's nothing to be fixed here. In fact, there was one owner who reported knocking from the front suspension, only to be turned away by the dealership after they checked it, with the problem being written off as normal behavior or present in all Colorados. This was quite ironic, as the loaner Colorado they gave to the owner did not experience the same knocking issue. And the worst part is, even when they do repair it, so to say, the mechanics tend to do more harm than good. One Colorado owner brought his truck to get its steering wheel column replaced, and once he got it back, the new steering column was less responsive. The steering wheel was misaligned completely, and the entire interior had been so haphazardly put together that you'd think a toddler reassembled it. Plus, repairing a vehicle will take weeks and even months on end, with some owners saying that they had to wait up to 22 weeks for their truck to be returned. It's like Chevy dealers are deliberately extending these repairs and sabotaging their quality so that the owners don't even bother to come to the authorized dealer for them to fix any issues. All of this has resulted in countless long-term Chevy owners turning away from the brand and selling their brand new vehicles only months after they bought it. And frankly, we can't blame them.